This is our new Vintage USA kit for 73 to 87 GM truck. Really hot product. We thought we'd show it to you in a little more detail. Comes in this box. First thing you'll notice when you open the box is you get your customer care card. Hang on to this. Any questions, give us a call. Right there. Email, however you want. This here's your part number. Hold on to this card. It'll help you out a lot. Fun facts about Detroit. Always good to have. In your box you'll have your bracket assembly. It comes in two pieces. Your 6-gauge kit, speedo tack, 4 minor gauges. Your fuel gauge will be set up for 0 to 90 already, so you don't have to worry about that. That'll match the factory tank. It'll come with your back clamps for your gauges. And it'll include your accessory bag, which has instructions for the gauge installation. Take you through that. Bracket installation. This is the hardware kit for the truck package. And the installation kit for your gauges. It'll include your programming button, pressure sender, temperature sender, nuts and bolts, harnesses if required. Here's your temperature sender. Oil pressure sender. US bushings. We have metric bushings for the LS if needed. Programming buttons. Depending on your kit, you'll have 1 or 2. And harnesses for the speedo and tack if required, depending on your kit. Okay, now what we're going to start with, we've already removed this factory bezel. Just remove the screws, remove the bezel. We've removed the dash pad for just to make it a little easier for you to see. We left the steering wheel on. You can take that off if you want. First thing we'll do is we've removed the mounting screws. This part shimmies out of here. And the electrical plug, you have to squeeze it to take it off. This part comes out. Here's what the back looks like. That's the plug. Set that aside. Here's the factory plug, so you can just squeeze it to pull it out. That is how you remove it. Now that we have our factory cluster removed, we're going to go ahead and install our new cluster. We've already wired this one, but we'll get into that in the next segment just for clarity. Really all there is to it is we're going to set it in place. This goes behind. Now we're going to do our test fit on our cluster. Final fit. Look at it. These pieces of tape on here, these are I already pre-fit this just to make it a little easier for you to see. This goes behind. Just start with that. Put our spacers in. now that we have our panel fit, we're going to go ahead and wire up the gauges. Now, what we usually do is we'll just use a simple Molex harness, very readily available. We use the same color wires all the time, so it's easy for us, but you can use any kit you want, you can use any connection you want. It really doesn't matter. On this particular application, what we decided to do was splice into the factory harness. Now, this looks more complicated than it actually is. All we did is we found a wiring diagram online, went ahead and probed the wires. So all we have connected here is power, ground, lights, left turn signal, right turn signal. That's it. So we just spliced in, soldered them in, extended the wires out, just taped off the main connector. You can cut this, you can use an aftermarket harness. It doesn't matter. Wires are just wires. And then the other things that we ran out, and we'll show you those in a second, is we ran the temperature sender wire, the pressure sender wire, and the tachometer wire directly from their sources in the engine compartment. That way those are all brand new. And then we did a very simple wiring job on the back of this cluster here. All we did was commonize all the grounds, commonize all the powers, commonize all the lights, run those to a plug. Then we ran our oil pressure signal, fuel sender signal, water temperature signal, tach signal, speedo signal, ran to the plug, and we left our wires for programming loose so we can install those later, and we're just going to plug it in. We're going to plug it in and wrap it up. Leave the factory clip on here, or you can take it off, it doesn't matter. Okay, so this is loosely installed. We haven't permanently attached anything yet. Now what's important is when you put the bezel on here, all of these connections can move. We found, excuse me, no two vehicles are the same. So this can move up and down, these can move up and down, in and out, this can move up and down, this can move left and right, up and down. This over. All of the gate, these move about 1/8 inch all the way around. These move quite a bit, up and down, left and right. Use your spacers. You have a 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch. You can use them in any combination you want. We just found it works best using 1/4 inch on the front here to move the gauges closer, 1/8 inch on the bottom on this particular truck with this bezel. Like I said, they're all a little bit different, so you can get something that fits perfectly. Then we're going to grab the bezel. Okay, now we've got this roughly placed in here. Just a FYI, when you're installing your shifter, this just pulls on and off. You can just set it wherever you'd like. This particular truck, so you just rope the wire right over the holder here. This particular truck was happiest when the indicator is just on the left side of P, and then when I change the gears, that way it lines up real nice, so that works. Now we're going to test fit the bezel, and this also applies to final fitment. So again, the dash pad was removed on this truck just to make it a little easier to see. So I'm going to put this on here, get the headlight switch on. Now what I like to do is I like to start with these top two, just kind of set that on there to rest, and then I'll loosely install my two 832 threaded screws. Now, make sure everything sits really nice. And then I'm going to loosely install the provided screws in the factory clips just loosely. I'm just going to make sure everything's lined up. Sometimes the clips come unaligned. technically, really, the cluster holds the top on. These 3 screws hold it to the dash. These 2 go into the dash pad, and this long one goes in this hole right here into the panel itself. So I'm just going to get these all loosely installed. Okay, now that everything is loosely fit, I can move the gauges around, I can adjust them, I can tighten them, loosen them, do whatever I need to do to get them to look the best when I'm sitting in the garment position. Now that doesn't mean they'll all be exactly centered in holes, because depending on where you're sitting, it's going to look right or not right. So I've already pre-set these up, so we're pretty much ready to go. So at this point, what you would do is you would get everything where you like it, pull the panel off, tighten everything down, wire it up, plug it in, and then reinstall and install the 2 screws into the dash pad. Couple of finishing touches. Went ahead and we installed the buttons for the tach and the speedo. Your kit may or may not need a button for the tachometer. It just depends which one you get. Generally, I'll put the one for whichever gauge is on the left or right on the left or right. I like to put them on this side so I don't hit them with my leg versus the other side. You can place them anywhere you want, really. I just like to put them out of the way. You can put them on the dash. It's up to you. Those will do all your settings for your speedo and tach. If you pass it. So for example, you can scroll down all your settings. Here's a shot of our 73 to 87 GM truck kits. Just putting in a new set here for a customer. Let us borrow his vehicle so we could do an install. These are the Performance 2s. They're pretty killer at night. Day. Pretty good. Okay, just a quick review on we only had to hook up 3 things in the engine compartment. What we did is we hooked up the tachometer signal to the HEI. This particular vehicle has an HEI ignition. It says TAC right on top of the distributor cap, so we just wire it right into the TAC wire. Right down below there, you can see the silver, the oil pressure sender. We had to use an elbow to get it to, actually the elbow was already there. We just connected to that. And then down here on the head, we installed the water temperature sender with the bushing that's included in the kit. Ran the wire along the frame. We'll get this all tidied up here in a little bit. But that's really all you need to do in the engine compartment. It's just that easy. I think the hardest thing is climbing on the ladder and getting in here. This particular truck has a T-case on it, and it had the factory speedometer cable. So we went ahead and just connected that. We just left it in place for now. We installed one of our GM style speed senders. You unscrew the cable, screw this on,